This video made possible by the ICC Stellar Surveyors and subscribers like you.
Everybody, welcome to episode 2.07 of Around the Verse, Gone to Texas. I'm Sandy Gardner.
And I'm Ben Lesnick.
This week on Around the Verse, we sit down with Game Support Manager Will Leverett to find out what really goes into each Star Citizen update.
And then Chris Smith gives us a tour of the all-new Connie, currently being prepped for Star Citizen Alpha 2.0.
Excellent. I am excited for that because that will help me move the collector's boxes along. And here we are visiting with our friends at Cloud Imperium, Texas.
Cloud Imperium, Texas, here in Bee Cave, just outside of Austin. The team here is responsible for live operations, keeping the servers running, QA. They've been instrumental in building the persistent universe. And of course, Austin looms large in Star Citizen history. This is where we kicked this whole project off back at GDC Online in 2012.
Mm-hmm. And where we first met.
Yes, I met you for the first time at Richard Garriott's office while you were, we were rapidly redoing the presentation at the last minute.
That is true. And I think you're impressed with my eating skills. Remember
that? Yes,
yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the Santa Monica team is moving to our new headquarters this week, so ATV will be coming from our new offices.
Yes, we can't wait to show them off and see them ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And I am going to get in there with Tom and somebody who's organized to build us some sets.
Yep, we have some exciting plans for our shows. They're going to look better than ever. Bear with us while we get that up and running, but it's going to be good.
Sets on wheels.
Sets on wheels.
Sets on wheels.
Meanwhile, the team everywhere else is busy working with Star Citizen Alpha 2.0. We know everybody is curious when it's coming. We can't say yet because it has to go through the testing and then bug fixing process. But we can say that it is now 100% content locked. Nothing else can be added to the build. So it's all up to QA and the bug smashers to get this thing out. And when it's ready, we'll tell you.
So let's go to the Spectrum and find out what the teams have been working on.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Santa Monica. I'm Eric Hyman Davis with
Darian Borlick.
And we've got an update for you this week. Darian, what do we got?
So, first and foremost, you may have heard that we are getting ready to move into our new building, a much larger facility, so we can actually expand our staff. The place is actually pretty monstrous, and we're finalizing and packing up all our stuff. We're starting to begin the move pretty soon, so hopefully you can start seeing us broadcasting from the new place.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I know everybody upstairs is very jazzed, and right now we're just doing the best we can to minimize the impact so we can keep development rolling.
Yep.
What else?
Let's see. Oh, EMP. EMP.
Yeah.
So if you guys haven't read on the website, there is a large description of how the EMP system works. So what we're doing right now is actually finalizing a lot on how the system will disable other components, such as the radar or the target or the identifier, or even how it affects missiles if you get hit by an EMP shock, and how it affects even just your own ship. So the EMP stuff, it's a new functionality we're adding into the game. It's pretty exciting, and I can't wait to see what it looks like when the VFX guys finally create what that effect is going to look like.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. And then we're also working on top of all that, we're concepting, we're trying to get a lot of the style guides put together for all the ships. It evolves over time. We've talked about that in previous all kinds of Tenfer discussions. And one of the ones working on right now, Gurmuk has been working on Anvil alongside Mark Skelton and some of the ships that we're going to be debuting very soon.
So what the style guide is for is essentially just creating a design standard based on the manufacturer. Like if you saw the car manufacturers like Nissan or Honda, how all of them kind of have this uniform standard appearance to them, we're trying to do the same thing with our spaceships. So you can recognize an Aegis or an Anvil or an RSI ship based on just its stylization.
Yep. And there you have it. That's Santa Monica. Again, I'm Eric.
I'm Darian.
See you next week.
Hey guys, Jake Ross here, Associate Producer of the Persistent Universe, coming at you in high definition. We have the community team out here from LA visiting us here in Austin. And so we have a proper video setup, an actual audio microphone here, so that's nice. So I'm here with you today to talk a little bit about clothing assets, animation, and props. So we are working with CIG Bot again on various things, primarily clothing assets for our Casaba outlet shop that we got coming up here in a release here pretty soon. So we had got our first drop from them recently, and we were testing that out in game, and it's rolling really nicely. So we have a few more assets in development with them, so hopefully we'll have a little bit more variety when the shop first launches. So that's pretty cool. On the animation side, we have Jay Brushwood and Daniel Craig working on the Constellation animations. Basically, just a final touch-up polish pass on those guys. So they've got like doors opening, little kind of tier 3 animation polish is what we're calling it. So that'll be wrapping up here pretty soon, and at which point they'll move on to the Vanguard animations. So we're excited to get them started on that. Lastly, we are working on designing the props that we're going to have for the next Levski landing zone. So we have our designers here in-house formulating a prop list, figuring out what they want to populate the environment with, and then we'll send that list off to the prop team in the UK, and they'll prioritize or rather provide the resources we need, and we'll prioritize which ones they need to work on first. So trying to fill out that space as we come here near to completion. So that'll be cool to see as well. That's all I got for you this week. Thanks, guys. See you.
Hey everybody, my name is Andy Tilsley. I'm the producer working for Squadron 42 on characters, faces and cinematics. And this is
John Jones, lead facial animator.
excellent. So we're just continuing on from last week where Shan Crew and Mike Dalston were speaking about the facial scanning experience out in Ealing. Just going to bring you right up to speed with the facial pipeline. So in short, once the scan's complete in Ealing, the facial data is sent across to 3Lateral. Company out in Serbia responsible for building the 3D rig head. It takes approximately 6 weeks to build. Right. From there, we receive it back fully 3D and ready. We prep it for engine using Red 9 tools. We do a quick polish pass, and then we send that rig to Cubic Motion. Right? Outsourcing company in Manchester who are responsible for facial.
Yeah, goes to Cubic with all the head cam footage, which you're seeing on the screen here from this camera. They've got 60 days worth of footage from all the actors that they remap pretty much one-to-one from the video footage onto the game characters.
Awesome.
Looks awesome.
Looks uncomfortable.
It is.
Okay, so from there we receive the facial animation data back from Cubic Motion. We align the body data that comes back from Imaginarium Studios with the face data that comes back from, that doesn't help,
Sorry.
that comes back from Cubic Motion, and the audio data as well. And we do a quick polish pass, sync everything up.
Yep.
And that's it, Bob's your uncle. So the first example of the facial pipeline in operation was the Bishop's speech, right?
Yeah. That's the first big kind of stress test of the whole pipeline. Ran into a few issues that got sorted and a few other bits and bobs that are still ongoing. So once they're sorted, it's going to look a whole lot better than what you've seen so far.
Excellent. Can't wait. And that's it from us. Thanks very much, guys.
Hey everyone, Brian Chambers from Frankfurt office again. Thanks for watching. This week we have Hannes with us, the director of cinematic director, whatever. You've seen a lot of his work and he's working hard. I'm glad to be able to pull him from his desk so he can come in and kind of talk about what he's been working on and so on.
Yeah, we are currently working on, which is super exciting, on a scene where Mr. Hamill goes into the cockpit again, so it's like a return to what he did in several other franchises, I would say.
Cool.
It's a really nice scene, and we basically, in the cinematics department, we're also always the first ones to actually have a look at the scanned heads when they come back, so we basically discuss if the hair is good enough for certain close-ups or how the eyes look, so we kind of get this.
Yeah, I honestly saw his head for the first time at your desk, I think yesterday or the day before. It was pretty nuts.
Yeah. And then John Rhys Davis' head is currently prepared, and my colleague is working on a scene in the UAE Navy hospital, but I don't want to be called Mr. Spoiler-Lot, so it's like why you're in the hospital, or if you're in the hospital, or when you're in the hospital, or something like this, we will not discuss here. And then Frank, my senior environment artist, is still working on some awesome skydock for a giant capital ship, which is also part of the story.
It's cool. Yeah, we actually shared some of those pictures on the skydock
Yeah.
from the monthly report we just put out.
The scene is like massive.
Yeah.
Like we were floating around the scene, I was like, can you get closer to the ship? Yeah, but it would take like 10 minutes or something.
That's cool.
No, it's like 6 kilometers or something, or
That's
5.
cool.
I don't know.
Yeah. How would you say so far as cinematic production's going? I mean, overall, is it parts falling into place, or you got bumps, you got issues, or what's, how's it?
We are definitely. I think we are currently waiting on some of the heads to be delivered, but some of the main heads are already done, and the selection process of all the takes we did during the main shoot that we had at the Imaginarium is also pretty much done. Like the shoot also, I think the shoot itself covered like 90% of, or even more of the story material we actually need for the campaign. Yeah. So in that regard, we are really good. I think it will be, at one point, we might need to have 1 or 2 more animators in our department, seeing of like the workload will be a lot, I think, when we finally get crunching on more of on the heavier scenes with like 10 people on the bridge or something like this. But I think what I like about this production is we had this blueprint from the beginning with the script being done, and then there's not much edit anymore to it, at least from a story point of view. Of course, some of the gameplay and the missions changes and stuff, but story is locked, which is really nice, and every little sentence is locked, which is even more.
It's funny, I'm sitting here smiling because I was at the shoot for a period of time. I had my own copy of the script. Once that script comes out to everybody in the story and all that, it's revealed. It's cool. It kind of twists and turns and goes places you're not quite sure where it was going to, and it
also has I think the right amount of humor without resorting to poop jokes or anything like this, and it takes itself serious but not too serious in moments. It's really intelligent, I have to say. Like Dave Haddock and Will Weisbaum did a nice job.
That's cool. Well, thanks again for watching, guys. I honestly could sit here and talk with Hannes for another 20 minutes about this, but we try to keep these short and sweet, like I always say. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
You're all long and landed. Time to anyway.
Does anyone want to come to, or what platforms do you want to come to you? I'm on 2 at the moment.
Oh, I want to hit you. Watch out.
Oh, that was
good. Self-destruct.
He just take people out. That was well.
Thanks, guys.
Now let's throw it over to Jared, who sat down with game support manager Will Leverett in this week's ATV interview.
Throw.
Yay!
Thanks, guys. Today we're sitting down with game support manager Will Leverett. Will, how you doing, man?
What's going on?
Good.
How's it going? Welcome to Austin.
Yeah, no, it's been great. We just had Argentinian food at the Cafe Buenos Aires.
Well, you got to get some breakfast tacos with us too, right?
Breakfast.
Best here in Texas.
Breakfast tacos, and I'm told that we have to try Amy's ice cream.
That's where I'll go get fat.
Yes. Well, mission accomplished already. So, game support manager.
Yes, sir.
Let's start off by telling folks what that is.
So it's a couple of things. The basic part of the job is doing basic technical support tickets, right? And that's for anyone who has software, hardware problems. We work to troubleshoot, get those players back into the game. We used to do bug reports through game support as well, but we've now moved that to the issue council. And so, as you know, we've worked with QA and Turbulent to get that up and running. So we're pretty proud of getting that up. The other part that we work with is we're part of the live publish process. And what we do is help communicate to players the state of the service, right? And so that's making sure that players know downtimes. How long is the service going to be down? We help manage PTU playtest, and we help make sure that we're doing our best to communicate the state of the game as it is to players as best as we can.
And that includes patch notes.
That includes patch notes. Now, we're closely working with QA to do that now, and we actually offloaded some of the duties over to QA, so I'd be remiss by saying I do that by myself. I'd be kind of stealing. So apologies to QA. I'm not totally doing it by myself.
Those QA guys, they just play video games all day.
Pew pew.
So you've done this kind of work before,
Mm-hmm.
I take it. But never during development.
This has been a big challenge for me personally. I've never treated a game in development like a live service, and I think that's been a challenge for a lot of us, right? There's a lot of, I don't want to say broken things, but just unfinished things that we put out for players to test. And so it's been an experience trying to make sure that people keep their heads cool and understand that, yes, we're in the alpha phase of Star Citizen development. This is not the finished product, and there's much more to come and a lot of polish to come.
Now, in your defense, I don't think anybody's done live support for a game in development of this size.
That's true. No, that is absolutely true. But as they say, none of us is as dumb as all of us, right? So it just popped in my head. I love that. I love that.
I think I'm going to agree
This
with
is-
you provisionally.
There we go.
When we're done, I'm going to think about that one.
But it is true. This is such a massive project, and to do the game on its own would be a challenge on itself. But to do it while we have live players testing and playing the game is certainly unique. Fortunately, we've got a lot of good play testers out there that help us and give us some fantastic data and feedback on what's actually out there, and they're pretty patient with us. We got some pretty good people.
Gotcha.
backing us.
Now, what did you do before this? Where'd you come from?
So before this, I worked at NCSoft. Worked on Guild Wars 2. Worked on we had Ion and WildStar as well. Before that, I had worked at Riot Games on League of Legends. Before that, I had a previous stop at NCSoft and had worked at EA for 5 years before that. 18 years in the industry. I feel like an old man here, right? We were talking about that earlier.
Yes.
Just a couple of old coots now.
Very old man here.
I started back in 1997, almost on accident, and it's been such a career. It's been I'm really blessed to do it.
Gotcha. Now, your game support staff is expanding.
Yep.
Tell us about that.
We are doubling in size. Very proud to say. We are very, very excited to bring on our first team member in Manchester, which we're excited about. First, to have a presence in that office is going to be very helpful for us in terms of just communication and getting information to the devs over in that studio, but also just time zone differences, right? So we run these play tests. Right now, I have to run them at one time because I'm only one man. It's true. I can only do so much. What we're hoping to do is expand our play test over a different set of hours so that we can better service our European players as well as our US players. And ultimately, what this will allow us to do is get better response times so that when you send in a ticket, we can get back to you pretty quick.
Gotcha. So before we let you go, what's something that the players can do to help you guys do your job? Besides use the issue council?
Besides use the issue council.
Use the issue council.
Issue council.
How can they use the issue council more effectively, maybe?
So we've actually had surprisingly good feedback and participation in the issue council so far. We didn't really know what to expect. There's not a lot of people who are doing anything like this. And we are so pleased with it. There are so many people who go to report bugs with both the launcher and the game there. And just so if anyone doesn't know how it works, you enter in a bug, it gets repeated by other players a certain amount of times. At that point, it gets kicked over to our QA department, right, who does analyze it and see if they try to reproduce it on their end. And at that point, it goes into our dev pipeline, right? And so that's amazing. We've actually closed the feedback loop. That's what we've always wanted in operations of online video games. And now we're able to present that to players. So I think the biggest thing that they can do is help participate in the issue council, just because they're actually making the game better, which is what we're all here for. So
Absolutely. And finally, before you go, tell us something fun or interesting about yourself. Maybe not even necessarily work related.
Okay. I like explosives, I like storm chasing, and I travel the world to go get in fights with other soccer fans. And it's true. All these things are true.
I could pursue that more, but I'm not going to. All right, Will, thanks a lot. Thanks for coming
Thank
on
you.
ATV, man.
I appreciate it.
All right, back to you guys.
I guess it's true what they say, where there's a will, there's a way.
All right, now let's take a look at the updated Constellation model with Chris Smith.
The Constellation is sort of our prime test ship for 2.0 multi-crew because it's a very generalized ship. It can be used for many different roles, and it will be the base upon which we bring in all sorts of other ships, including the Freelancer, the updated Cutlass, and all the larger ships. So it's very important to Star Citizen. Let's take a look.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, guys. On this episode of Shipshape, we're sitting down with principal vehicle artist Chris Smith and Josh Coons to discuss the upcoming rework of the Constellation. Chris, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Jay?
Good. Now, you've been working on the Constellation for quite some time now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we've been on it for a little while, since February to be exact.
Okay. And coming up with Alpha 2.0, we'll get to see the fruits of your labors.
Right.
Okay.
Finally.
Finally. Now, you're going to take us through a tour of the inside of the Constellation, and then later on, we'll get Josh Coons in here, and he'll take us through the external. Now, this is still work in progress. Alpha is not out yet. They're still working on things, integrating the various builds and stuff, but he was kind enough to offer to take us through, so let's see what they got. Chris, I leave it to you.
All right. So, yes, it's still a work in progress, although we are very far into it. We're very close to being done with it. So I'll just swoop into the interior and walk you guys through it. So here we have the front bulkhead area. And so the main difference that we did right away when we started rebuilding the Constellation was to separate it out into modular sections. So we have a nose section, a neck section, a body section, and a tail section. And that counts for the interior as well as for the exterior. And so that helps us actually in the future making any variances or anything like that. You know, we can instead of building a whole new ship, we can just swap out a piece and then it becomes a new ship, right? And since most of our variants is sort of built that way, you know, it lends itself very well to that. So here is the nose bulkhead, and the immediate change was to add a bulkhead to this area, which didn't exist in the previous version. There was actually no door here, and so everything was left open, and beyond this door there's an airlock. So if someone wanted to EVA out, you know, the whole cockpit would essentially be exposed to the environment and you know, potentially space. So that wasn't very acceptable. So we added this bulkhead there, which I think adds visually, it makes it a nice segment and it cuts off and makes it a nice cockpit area, and really just owns in on the purpose of the ship and this area. So here we have you know, the seats. We have the pilot seat. As you can see too, I mean, we've added a lot of small detail and brought it up to the same visual standards as the Retaliator was made. So everything is super high detail and fidelity compared to the rest of the ship. Whoops, I'm like climbing up on the chair now.
Kids, get down.
Get down. And so this also represents, it's like a first lighting pass, the interior lighting of the ship. As you can see, it's sort of, you know, it's got a little fog in there and atmosphere and everything. It's still not done yet. There's still some work to be done. We'll have like another pass on the interior lighting, but it's getting there. You know, you can see details like the lighting through the grating here, which is cool and stuff like that. And another big change to the front was the turret entrance. On the previous version, the entrance was actually on the other side. So you essentially had to walk over here and then face this way to get into the turret. But now, all you have to do is just walk straight, and then you can already use the turret, you know, up and down. So that was a big, I think, request too by the fans. You know, over the time since we've had the old Connie out, there were tons of remodels and remakes done by fans. You know, some to great success. You know, we've actually adapted a lot of those changes into our own change. So yeah, a lot of those requests were heard and answered in this one.
I'm going to throw you a tough question here, though.
Mm-hmm.
One of those most common requests is the inverted bottom turret.
Yeah.
I noticed that we don't have the inverted bottom turret in there. Is there can you talk about why we haven't done the inverted bottom turret?
So you're saying a request was actual to have it flipped?
Yeah, basically to go down. You go downstairs.
Like the
and-
Retaliator?
Exactly like the Retaliator, so that they get the same field of view as the guy up top.
Well, initially we were thinking about it, but it was going to take a little bit more to remodel that area and to make that to facilitate that, and it was actually going to take too long for the time that we had. Even though we had a long time to model this, when we spent 8 months on this ship, and the last 2 months, working really hard just to get it, to a point, and we're still not even done. So I mean, this ship, these ships take a long time. So any time you add new mechanics and stuff like that, it adds even more time and R&D and all that stuff. The Retaliator turret was done when that was like sort of in progress. The whole debate about it, we were already sort of past that part. We didn't want to go back then and then have to redo it, so we kept it the way it is in this case. Although I will say,
Field of view is much better than it was just looking at the CitizenCon demo.
Yeah, we definitely what we did was more or less, we have this chair in a swivel, right? So it kind of like swivels like a rocking chair backwards, so you can look down, as you're moving around. So that was sort of like a little bit of a compromise to help out, the visual part. But yeah, I mean, another thing was we were concerned about the playability of the inverted turret. I'm not really sure now. I mean, I'm not sure if fans like the inverted turret.
It's something they talk. Everybody talks about lots of things,
Right.
But until you get in there and you play with it, you never know whether
That
it's
was the
actually going
thing.
to
It
work
was
or
a
not.
concern, that it might even be confusing to have an inverted turret. So, I guess maybe the jury's still out on that.
I guess we'll find out with the Retaliator, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, that was probably the biggest reason for keeping it was time constraint, and also, I think the ability to. I mean, I don't think every turret has to be a flip turret.
No.
So it was sort of like we'll keep it with the original style of the Constellation.
Not all ships are supposed to be all things.
Yeah. You can't have everything with everything, no? Or can you? Well, maybe you can. We'll see. Hey, maybe in the future we'll have a flip down turret version of the Constellation. So here we are at the neck, the neck component of the ship, and this would be like the living quarters. So my intent when I redid the interior of the Constellation was to really have a distinctive feel when you walk through the ship from front to back, and you're in a different room, so not everything just looks the same. And so I made this room very in contrast to the front room. It's a lot brighter and wider, and it's more the living area, right? So it's a little bit more friendly, and I added a lot more bright colors. So here we have like the bench, and there's like a retractable table, and shelves, kitchen area, and stuff like that. Fridge, and here's the airlock, which was in the original model, which was a big circular airlock. I made it a rectangular shape because actually with this shape, we can now fit all the crew members on at once and get them down to the bottom, so you don't have to go one by one. The other one was a little bit smaller, and the shape didn't lend itself very well to getting everyone on there.
That's the beautiful thing about game development. It's iterative. You try things.
Right.
Some things work, some things don't.
Yeah, you find out, right? Quickly. And here we have the bathroom, which is actually in the, I doubt it works at this point, but I'm not going to risk it.
Is the bathroom on the Constellation dangerous, Chris?
Oh, here we go. It does
Oh,
work.
wow.
So here I made it actually a combo. So it's actually a shower with the toilet. So you can do all of it at once if you really want to. If you feel so inclined. But the idea is, either you go in to brush your teeth or shower, or you go in for, number one or number two.
After the Starfare incident, I have to ask, where's the toilet paper?
Oh, good question. In space, they don't use toilet paper. No.
Just floats away.
Do they have toilet paper in the future?
There was
maybe it's an automatic.
There was an old thing
bidet.
with internal Starfarer concept art. They had the toilet paper right under the shower head.
Oh.
In a common bathroom, so the toilet paper was obviously going to get wet. But you apparently don't have toilet paper at all.
I don't have toilet paper at all.
So,
you know,
so bring toilet paper with you when you go into the Constellation bathroom.
Raw. You know what, guys? I'll add that just for you.
Or the 3 seashells. I can't say it.
I'll add some charmin in there.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say it. All right, so there's the toilet, and then we have. Now I can't get out. And here we have lockers, and then I've also added an armory station where machine guns and weapons can be added, which wasn't there in the previous Connie, and which is very important for multi-crew ships.
Yeah.
So that was added, and I added it to the living area because I thought it made the most sense. It was close to the front cockpit area, and it was centralized, and it was in the living quarters. You know, like. If they get an emergency call, you know, they have to jump out of bed, you know, they'll be right there. And they have
Makes sense. You don't want to cover the entire length of the ship.
Right. So here we also have the escape pods and beds, which are unfortunately, I don't think these doors work at the moment, but these doors, like, they would kind of split off and open up. And so this was another big change in the previous version. Well, actually, the previous version did have we had the escape pods already shuttered off and airlocked out, but it looked very primitive, I guess, and
This looks great. I
textures and everything. So yeah, I just kind of spruced it up and put some windows there and just made it look better overall. But the same concept applies, you know, so that way when they EVA out, nothing gets exposed to the environment. You know?
Okay.
Here we get into the main cargo area, which we call the body module. And this is the main part of the ship and the biggest part of the ship. And this actually went somewhat relatively unchanged functionality-wise. The cargo area is the same space as it was before. The way it opens and the way it jettisons cargo is the same way too. The main thing that I've added was a missile reload system. So when you walk over here, you can actually see it. I took like a little visual cue, functionality cue from the Retaliator, what Nathan did with his like cool view. You can see like the missile bay area, which I thought was awesome. And I thought it would be cool to kind of add something similar to that here. So right above this, like if the missiles go straight up, that's where the missile launcher from the exteriors are. And so they just all, like after the top missiles get shot off, you know, these guys just kind of slot up into the other part, into the top part of the missile launcher, and then they get shot off. So it's a cool way. I mean, if somebody were to be standing there, they could see it actually happening with the missiles moving eventually. And then here we have the airlock, which is also the docking collars on the side, which stayed in the same. They actually stayed in the same space as the original Connie. So we walk through here. Also, another big thing was we've added a lot of the components to the ship. So eventually, these boxes here will be replaced by actual components, avionics that you'll be able to service and repair and all that stuff. Right now, I've sort of made these boxes, block-off boxes, but I've indicated where they will go. Right now, they're not serviceable, but they're there.
Yeah.
In the game when you play. So we walk back here, and here we get to the tail area section, which is also where the Merlin is docked. We can come down here real quick. And so here is the Merlin. We made it very simple, and basically all you do is walk right up to it, and you'll be able to jump in your Merlin. Boom.
Through the glass.
Right through the glass. Yeah, that's the future.
Yes. In this build, there's some animation issues, guys. So.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what I have too is not what the final build or anything. There's animations that I have missing from this, so don't get worried.
we wanted to get this for you today, so we're working,
So, yeah.
we're working with what we got.
So yeah, this is pretty much it. Josh will be able to show you the exterior.
All right, so we're gonna take a minute, come back with Josh Coons. Thanks, Chris.
Later. Thank you.
And now we're here with 3D artist Josh Coons, who worked with Chris on the exterior of the Constellation. Josh, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Good. All right. Now we got a couple minutes left, so take us through the exterior. Show us what you got.
So yeah, when we got the original mesh for the ship, it was how we say in the biz, not optimized. So
Yes.
my main goal, first goal, was to go through and make sure that the polygons being used on the ship were actually being seen by the player. So after deleting all that, I found out I could pretty much just do whatever I wanted on the ship and just add crazy detail all over the place, which is good. You want that.
All right.
So I did some overall exterior silhouette tweaks, trying to make it more angular. We have an evolving RSI style guide right now, and we pushed that a little bit as we were making the ship. Here we have the new front end. Wanted to make it look more framey, more industrial and constructed. Show you where the parts are put together. We had a significant pass over the maneuvering thrusters and positioning. I completely redid those as well, put a little bit more detail into that because they had none. Also, for the nose section, which is what we're currently looking at, the turret bay doors, not a lot of detail in here. Went back, gave it some interior guts, some decals, which may be missing right now. Nope, they're there. It's just dark in here. Some LED lighting. We wanted some lighting states for battle mode and, you know, some real Star Trek influence type stuff that a little bit more excitement added to the gameplay. This is where the turrets pop out. We have the new wing sections as well as the new flaps. These are up to my quality bar.
No kidding.
They were telling me in the beginning we had this RSI proprietary turbine technology, which would be located on other ships yet to be made. So I wanted to make sure that those were super, super cool in reuse. Once I looked at them, they were like a bajillion polys. They're not hooked up in the scene right now, but once you guys get your hands on the file, aim for this part, blow those doors off, you'll be able to check them out, and then shoot them again and kill them. Moving on to the previously mentioned next section, we have the new cover caps for, this is where you'll be jettisoning out the side. This is a top escape bay. Passengers, no, it's driver's side. Well, it depends what country you're in. More details, I wanted to add in some kind of clues as to how this works. I've got some like debt charge packs down here. You know, just make it feel more believable. You got your top hatch exit. Also on the bottom, Chris may have mentioned in the interior walkthrough that we made this bigger, so now instead of one dude going down, everybody on the ship can go down. I think we can get 5 people up on this as it goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom escape pods. Lighting's a little dark right now because it's turned on. We've got the main body section. Completely revamped these missile launcher foldouts. I think you guys will be more pleased with the shape. They felt kind of flimsy, so we thickened them up, made them a little bit more beefy. More lights. This is the side airlock entrance, a lot more beefy. There's still a lot more detail I'd like to do as far as the exterior goes. What you're viewing now is the new missile deploy. So on the old Akani, they kind of just came out, sadly, and you couldn't really see how they worked. So now they pop up at a sweet angle, and when these get launched off, I think you're going to see a cool pattern to how they deploy. For the front, we've got our main nacelles. These got overhauled a lot. I went back and forth with Roberts on the design of these things, and me and him had pretty much the same consensus on they were just too noisy. So we dialed those back, added some front DRL influenced type of lighting scheme for the front. We now have the deployable countermeasures built into the sides. This thing was titanic. This is the biggest model I've ever worked on in my life. It's absolutely huge. I wanted to integrate a lot more glass-covered tech just to make it a little bit more complete. I added a little Constellation. It's another little Star Trek, rip here. Wanted to add that in. Ship ain't a ship without a name. Moving back to the tail. A little plane back here. Now the lighting is not finished yet, so ignore all the blinky lights because they're not set up right. And here we have our new, super proud of this, got a lot of help from Elwin on hooking this bad boy up, but the new Merlin dock, I think the crowd will find a lot more, I'll just say cool, because it's a lot cooler now. Backward turbine housings and nacelle attach point to the back. Looks like we may have a smoothing air right here. Just trying to get more details in there. There just wasn't enough detail.
That's all right.
Got new lights, new landing gear. The jet skis are gone, so no more alpine skiing landing gears. A lot more beefy, chunky. They form fit a whole lot better. Overall, the shapes are a lot better, and believe it or not, this Constellation is, I think, 500,000 less polys than the original one. And it looks like twice the polys.
Yeah, no, it looks fantastic, man.
Thank you.
Folks are going to be stoked. That's why I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
I wanted to get it, because even with the CitizenCon demo, we got to see some of the inside and but we never really got a real great look at the exterior of the ship.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show that off. So, all right, Josh, I think that's great. This is easily the longest ship shape we've ever done. So thanks to you and Chris for sitting down and taking us on a tour of this. Again, this will come with Alpha 2.0, and it'll have its lighting and all this stuff, and it'll look even better than what you're seeing here today. So, Josh, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
My Connie lies over the ocean.
All right, no singing.
100,000. How many Aurora pilots have crashed into asteroids? How many times Chris Roberts has answered questions about whether or not you can own space stations and temper the chairman? How many Cheez-Its have backers sent to the office?
It's how many followers the Star Citizen Facebook has is over 100,000.
Woo! 100,000.
So
Hooray.
more would be great. We also have a Squadron 42 Facebook page that has, I think, 3 followers. So if you are a Facebook follower, get out there and follow Squadron 42. Also, we have Squadron 42 on our Instagram, which we're going to be populating a bit more, and also on Twitter.
Yep. We have kicked off social media for Squadron 42. There's a Facebook, a Twitter, and Instagram. If you are a social media fan, check those out. And of course, we have those active for all Star Citizen also. So We post everything from collectible trading cards to screenshots to the latest news. It's a great place to hear about Star Citizen.
And now it's time for MVP. Do we have the envelope?
Sure, why not? Here's the envelope.
The envelope, please. Are you serious?
We forgot to make an envelope.
Okay, great. And the winner is Shane.
Shane was the person who put together the fantastic Star Citizen Bar Citizen party last night.
Not last night, Sunday night.
Sunday night, yes, because we didn't shoot this on Monday at all. So he organized an event kind of spur of the moment for about 100 people. Had to change venues in midstream at the last minute. He handled all that, organized it all, and it was such a big help to us. It was a cool event too. We got to meet all sorts of backers, chat Star Citizen, which is pretty much what we like to do.
It was a great event, and in 2 weeks' time, we're looking at having another little get-together, this time with Chris and Aaron.
So we'll be posting details about that shortly. And here it is, your art sneak peek.
And what was that?
We'll find out.
Tomorrow.
Yes. We'll be answering your questions about that art sneak peek, about Star Citizen in general, at the very last Reverse the Verse from the old office. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific on Twitch. Join us to talk Star Citizen.
And then check back later in the week for a weekly development update on Star Citizen Alpha 2.0.
We're getting close. We're all very excited. You're going to like this one.
Finally, there's no Around the Verse next week, and Ben was supposed to say that.
We've kind of mixed up who's saying what at this point, but we're just going with it.
Because we're having a 3-hour live stream instead. We are kicking off Star Citizen's 3rd anniversary party, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. PST or PDT.
I think it's, we're back to PST.
All right.
And we will have Chris and the rest of the gang answering your questions and presenting some pretty cool stuff they've been working on since CitizenCon. I know I say this about everything, but you won't want to miss this one.
11 a.m. to 2 p.m. PST. And as always, thank you very much to subscribers for making this show possible and all of our other video content possible and allowing us to come here to Austin, Texas. We will see you next week on the live stream.
The live stream, yes, and then the week after Around the Verse on our new sets.
Woohoo!